Hello, and welcome to Azril Ontology. Today, we'll be covering Balance Druids. Today is a special day. We have an amazing guest on the show.
Hey, I'm Storm, what's up? I've been in Dragon for a year, and I play Moonkin.
So, Storm, have you done anything of note to make you a prestigious Moonkin?
Well, I've been playing it for a while. I've had a few good ranks every now and then. I think I know the class quite well. I'd say I'm quite competitive at it, so I can give you my opinions on the class and the changes they've made.
Alright, speaking of changes, is there any good things to say about Moonkins in Legion?
Well, from the testing we've done so far, I'd say that Moonkin is obviously quite strong. It is a very different class though. They kind of moved away from the swinging pendulum playstyle where you cast like these spells when your bar was on the left, the other spells when your bar was on the right. It's not like that anymore. They moved to like a traditional, you have a resource bar, you generate it, you use it, and it goes from there. I don't really see why they would change it, but it works out okay so far. That's really what I think about it.
Alright, so we'll quickly go over the talents, then the artifact, and Storm will pretty much give you guys a TLDR at the end. So let's start with talents. How's your 15 row, Storm?
Okay, so first of all, if you don't mind, I'll just give an overall thing about it. The talents live right now on Moonkin are very boring, like we never have a choice. They kind of fix that, but not really. So if we look at the talents, our 15 row, it's a bit of an obvious choice. I would go with Starlord, which is the last talent, which is when you empower your spells, they have 8% haste on them. Self-explanatory, that's probably the easiest choice. I think Warrior of Elune is also competitive. The way it works is on a 45-second cooldown, it makes you, when you use it, it makes you next to Lunar Strikes, which is the new Starfire, instant. So if we mathematically approach it, they both kind of equal actually, but Starlord is a bit better and it's easier to use, so I'd go with that. Force of Nature is complete garbage and you should never play it, ever.
Wow. Alright, let's move on. 30 rows, utility. What's your 45 row like since this is new?
The 45 row?
Yes.
Yeah, so the 45 row is essentially Heart of the Wild, kinda. The way it works is you have three choices. One gives you the cat abilities, one gives you the guardian abilities, one gives you the resto abilities. Obviously in a raiding environment that doesn't really mean anything because you're never going to benefit from these abilities. So what you look at is the passive that each one of these do. And the feral one gives you movement speed, the guardian one gives you a 10% damage reduction, the rest one gives you a self-heal on a cooldown. A passive self-heal on a 5-second cooldown. Icera's Gift. I mean, this is a... I guess this is a personal choice. It'll depend on the fight. Personally, I think Guardian Affinity is the best because you have a base 10% damage reduction. But I mean, it's up to the player. It's whatever you prefer. I don't really have a recommendation. It's just what you prefer to play. So just make your choice.
Well, I know you do raid testing, Storm. Have you ever picked a Resto Affinity because healing was needed?
No, I think the rest Affinity is just non-relevant in the bigger picture. You should pick one of the other two.
Alright. Again, 60 rows, more of a utility toolkit. You can pick this wherever. Let's move on to the meaty part, the 75 row.
Okay. The 75 row, as much as I would like to say otherwise, is a no-brainer incarnation chosen of Elune. It synergizes great with the artifact. I'll explain that when we go over the artifact, but as much as they're trying to make the other two talents relevant, I think they're completely irrelevant, and they will stay irrelevant, sadly, for probably the whole expansion if they don't do big changes. So yeah, just go with Chosen of Elune and use it.
What's wrong with Soul of the Forest?
The Soul of the Forest problem is two things. One is that it has two passives on it. Yeah, that reduces the astral power cost is kind of not important. Like, I don't value it that high. Now, the prime thing, which is increases the damage by 15%, is good, but Chosen of Elune is so much better, and it has a synergy with a specific golden trait on your artifact that just completely breaks the balance, and it just makes it a clear-cut choice. So, I mean, Soul of the Forest is, I guess, competitive. Stellar Flare is not competitive at all. Soul of the Forest is competitive, but Chosen of Elune would just be so much better, unless I see a specific fight where that's not the case, which I haven't yet. So I think Chosen of Elune is just your choice.
And this new ability, Stellar Flare?
It's not a new ability, they have it already, but they kind of reworked it. I guess you think it's new because you've never seen it for a good reason, like it's garbage. They buffed it a lot, they reworked it. I still think it's really weak. The way it works is it's a dot, but a dot that you have to cast, and now it also costs astral power, which is your resource. And it costs a lot of it, and it doesn't do enough damage to justify that. And it's just not good enough. It's just not competitive. I don't see why you would go with it. And it changes your playstyle as well. It makes it complicated and for no gain.
Alright, so, yeah. But if there was a number pass and they pushed into Stellar Flare quite heftily, could it potentially rival Chosen of Elune in some case? Or is just Chosen of Elune just that good?
I mean, if they broke the balance on the damage in a ridiculous way, I guess, yeah, it could be, but like I said, it would change your playstyle in a negative way. It would make it slower and clunky to play. And Chosen of Elune is just so fluid, and Chosen of Elune is basically a cooldown that you pop, especially on the start of the fight and when it comes on later on. So, at the start of the fight, you have all your resources, you're set to do your burst, and Chosen of Elune just multiplies that exponentially, and it's so strong. So even if they buffed it a lot, I don't see it being viable, unless they completely break it, which in case I would be like, yeah, sure, use it, but that's not the case yet.
Alright, let's take a look at the 90 row then.
The 90 row... the 90 row is probably the best row out of the talent tree. I like it. The choice that you probably will choose most of the time is the last talent, Blessing of the Ancients. The way it works is there's two forms. One form increases power you generate from your spells. The other form just does it passively. Excuse me. The passive one is bad. It's not worth it. You're never going to use it. You only go with Blessing of Elune, which is really, really strong. The other two talents now, Astral Communion gives you 75 power on a cooldown, which is obviously a lot less than you would generate with Blessing of the Ancients. But the thing about Astral Communion is that it has a good synergy with the next talent we're going to talk about, and it might be, a specific fight where you need that extra burst of energy to cast a spell, like you need a Starfall on this specific moment and you want to cast that. But overall, I don't think Communion is better. I think Blessing of the Ancients is just way more competitive. But Astral Communion has its niche. As for Shooting Stars, the way it works is when your dots do damage, there's a chance that they give you some power and they do some extra damage. The extra damage is a bit irrelevant. I mean, it's not terrible, it's just a bit irrelevant. It's a good talent if there's like a group of mobs. Maybe also be competitive, if there's a fight that has 2 or 3 bosses and you multi-dot. But overall, I don't think it's better than Blessing of the Ancients either. There's very specific scenarios that it needs to have to be better, and I haven't seen many of them yet. So I think Blessing of the Ancients is a safe choice. It'll probably be the better for every fight, so I would go with that.
Alright, and then let's get finally done with the 100 row.
Okay, the 100 row is the row I like. I think it's... Well, I think the row above is the most interesting. I think this is the most successful one. So let's start from the end. Nature's Balance. This will probably be the most used talent. I'm saying this with a bit of caution though, I'm not sure yet. The way Nature's Balance work is when you cast, you have 2 dots, Moonfire, Sunfire. When you cast the respective spell, so Lunar Strike or Wrath, it extends the duration of the dot. Theoretically, the way this works is on a single target fight, you apply your dots, and if you do a rotation that's perfectly balanced, switch in the spells, which is organic in the way the fight it happens, you'll never have to reapply the dots again. Like Moonfire specifically, you'll never have to reapply it ever in a single target fight, unless you really stop your rotation due to moving or whatever. Sunfire, it depends on your haste values and it might drop off, but when it drops off, you might have to reapply it during the fight like 3 or 4 times. So it's basically a single target increase because you never have to reapply your dots on a single target fight. And it's probably the easiest talent to use, and it'll probably be the best one for these specific fights. Now, if we go to the middle talent, Stellar Drift, it's very obvious what it does. It increases your Starfall damage, and it increases the range on it and makes you cast while in it, which is very helpful. This is obviously on an AoE fight. Basically, any fight that Starfall is relevant, because Starfall now is an AoE only spell. It's a bit different how it works. We'll show it in a bit. But yeah, any fight that Starfall is your competitive damage source, this choice is the best one. And then we go to Fury of Elune. By far the most interesting thing in Balance Druid now. It's basically Breath of Syndragosa, sort of. I really like this talent, but I don't think it's better. The problem with the way Fury of Elune works is when you cast it, it consumes your bar, your resource rather, and it does it quite fast. So, you use it when you're, the logic is you use it when you have 100 and you try to keep it going for as long as you can. The problem is that while doing that, you are locked out from using Star Surge, which is by far your strongest spell right now. And it's also a bit hard to do on an alpha environment because there's some lag, there's some latency, and it's a bit difficult to play. This is a very difficult talent to use. Okay, this will take a lot of mastery, and this will probably be the whole skill cap of the class. I think this will be the strongest talent, especially when we get more gear and we learn how to do it better. But as for now, I would not use it. I would go with Nature's Balance for single target instead.
Alright.
Oh, and it's important to say that Fury of Elune has a very good synergy with Astral Communion, which is the talent above it. And that's why I mentioned it before. They have a good synergy, but again, we're not going to use it now, so probably stick with the other talents.
Do you feel like you're locked out of choice in your talents? Do you feel like there's just too many weak choices, so the prominent ones are just the obvious choices?
Yeah, that's the problem with the class on live right now as well. You don't really have a choice. Like, I assume you have the talents we just spoke about chosen, yeah? You can theoretically play the entire expansion with those talents, and you'll be very competitive. So it is a problem. They fixed it a bit. Like I said, you saw there was a few rows that I was like, yeah, you can use this, you can use that. But they need to do a lot of work to fix it further. I think it's not very fluent the way it goes right now.
But realistically, in your raid testing, have you actually really ever changed any of these talents? Has there really been a point where you're like...
The only talent I have chosen to change is the bottom row. I've gone to Stellar Drift instead of Nature's Balance again. If I see a lot of Starfall potential, I go with the middle talent. That's the only cognitive choice that I've made so far while testing.
So that's it, it's pretty much set in stone. Like, they need to either tune it better or it's they need the same problem over again.
Need to increase the numbers a bit. Again, there is a possibility that I just haven't discovered some gold-like synergy. I mean, it's a slim chance. I haven't seen anyone else do it either. But yeah, I don't think it's very well made so far. They need to change it.
Alright, so let's take a look at the artifact. I see you get yourself a new ability given, just like everyone else. New Moon.
Yes, okay. New Moon. Not very passionate about this. The way New Moon works is it has 3 stacks. Now, and you generate a stack every 15 seconds. However, the complicated part is the 3 stacks are different spells. So the way it works is the first spell you cast has very low casting time, and very low damage. The next one, which is the middle, has middle cast time, middle damage, and obviously the last one has a large cast time and larger damage. On top of that, every time you cast them, they give astral power. So the first one, which is New Moon, gives 10. The second one, which is Half Moon, gives 20. And the last one, which is... it escapes me right now. I think it's Full Moon, yeah. The last one is Full Moon, gives 40 astral power. And every time you generate a stack... So the fourth stack resets the rotation, so it'll be the New Moon again and goes on from that. The thing with this ability is... If you compare the damage with the other abilities you do, it's not DPS favored by a small margin, but its DPS is a bit behind. However, it gives more astral power than the other abilities, so you can make an argument either way. The problem I see is that you can literally play the game without using this ability, and you'll be fine. Or you can use the ability, and you'll be basically the same result. So, unless they buff the damage a bit, I could see a case for people just not using it. I mean, I personally use it. But if someone tells me I don't like using this ability, I wouldn't even be that shocked, honestly. So, it's a bit weird for me.
So, it's literally just plain. There's no synergy with it, to be fair.
It's fair. There is some synergy. The biggest synergy I see is that Moonkins have a passive. They have this on live, they have it still, which is the frenzy thing. When you get attacked, you have a 15% chance to get an instant cast spell. So if you get that, and you have the Full Moon, which is a 2.5 second cast or something, it's very long. Like if you get that, it's the best use of a global. That's really the best synergy I see. There's really nothing else about the ability that makes it exciting. I guess it's good for the opening. The way I do my opening is I cast it 3 times because it's the fastest way to get to 70 power. And then I put my cooldowns and I do the rest of my rotation. Like that's really where the usefulness ends for me. So it's not very good, but it's not terrible either. It's just bland and it's there if you want to use it.
Alright, let's start with some golden dragons. The one next to New Moon, Power of the Gauldron. How is this?
Disappointing. I don't like that much. It reads better than it is. Like on the test, it's just I haven't even paid attention to animation. I'm not sure if it has any. But yeah, on my damage meter, when I end the fight, it's done about, I don't know, 3% of my damage, 2% of my damage. Like it's a bonus, but it's nothing important. I don't really like it that much. It's a bit boring.
And the one at the bottom, Echoing Stars?
Sadly, the fights that we've used Starfall have been very limited so far, but I don't like Echoing Stars either. It seems uneventful and very it's honestly nothing. It's bad. I like the last Golden Dragon though, the Moon and Stars, which is on the right of the artifact. I think that's a brilliant talent. It's really, really strong. And this is the main reason why Chosen of Elune is so much better. Basically the way it works is when you pop your cooldown, which the base cooldown is Celestial Alignment, but with our talent tree we've chosen the Elune. So the way the artifact trade works is while you have your buff active, every cast you do increases your haste by 1%, and that stacks. So the thing about Chosen of Elune, the talent, is that it's 30 seconds. It lasts for 30 seconds as opposed to your base cooldown, which lasts 15 seconds. So immediately you see the synergy there, yeah, because you can fit more spells into this artifact trait. And it just gets ridiculous. Like the last 10 seconds of your Chosen of Elune, you have so much haste that the spell just goes so fast you can't keep up, and that's why the burst is so competitive. So I really like this talent, this artifact trait. I think it's really strong, and this is what breaks Chosen of Elune to be by far the best talent.
So, is there anything else here in this tree that actually has any more of note? Because most of these traits are just flat passives to damage. Is there anything here that stands out?
As far as damage goes, not really. There's a you see on the left of the tree, a 1 point sunblind increases the radius of sunfire by 5 yards. Like, did you find it?
Yeah, sunblind.
Like, that's probably the most useful one in terms of damage. Sadly, everything else is boring. There's also, if you see below New Moon, there's Rejuvenate and Innervation. I mean, I guess that's cool for your Innervate. Like, this might actually benefit in progress. You use it on a healer and it increases their output significantly, but obviously has nothing to do with your damage. It's a utility thing. That's cool, I guess, but everything else is kind of just base damage increase.
Alright. So, while you were talking, I did about 6, 7, maybe even 8 Star Surges, and eventually I did proc this Power of Goldrin, so...
And how much damage did it do?
It did 94k in this PvP gear, so...
And your Star Surge average hit is... how much?
I think I did about 7, maybe, let's just say 7 Star Surges, and then I procced 1 afterwards. So, yeah.
For 94k damage, that's nothing, really. That's...
So you're not really happy with the artifact tree other than the 1 golden dragon you have, Moon and Stars?
Well, the problem is I'm not sure what to expect of the artifact tree, but yeah, I mean, if the golden dragons are supposed to be like these cool things that change the way you play, the first 2 ones fail completely. The last one is really good, but the other 2 aren't.
Let's say in it's Legion, level 100, you're leveling, you're putting in your points. Obviously you want to go for Moon and Stars, right? That's your first direction you want to go.
Moon and Stars.
The Chosen of Loon Golden Dragon.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right. That's the one I'm going for.
Which way would you recommend people to go? Would you go from up or would you go from down? Like, how would you make your way there?
I would go from up. Because, well, first of all, if I'm not wrong, it's the fastest way to go there. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. That's one. And secondly, it also has towards the end of the tree, this increases the critical strike chance and increases the damage bonus, and it's just the strongest talent overall, as opposed to the bottom. So yeah, I would definitely go from the upper way if it's possible to go that way first. Yeah.
Alright.
And you can also grab the first golden dragon on the way. I mean, it's a point. I'll get it. Like, it's not insignificant damage. It's just not very interesting.
All in all, are you happy with Moonkins in Legion? Have they done a good job? Could you see things need to be changed, or is it good as it is? Is this the best it's gonna get?
Yes and no. I mean, I didn't think the previous shape of the class needed changing. I thought it was fun and good. Like, it was easy to play, easy to learn. It had some things you needed to master though. The pendulum game, the pendulum playstyle was interesting and fun. So I don't think it needed to change, but I don't really dislike the change either. I mean, I'm fine with it. I guess it's have to get used to the new things. The problem I have is that the talents are still a bit boring, and the choices are clear, and the artifact traits are also a bit boring and don't really change what you do much. So I mean, if they look at the tree and, you know, make some significant changes, then I can say the class is in a really good shape. But for now, I'll say they're okay. They're a strong class with a mediocre playstyle. But yeah, I'm satisfied, I guess, with that.
All right. So all in all, Moonkins, as you can see, anything that's really changed is your resource bar. Your abilities still play the same. There's no difference to abilities. They haven't revamped how you play,
They
right?
haven't revamped them, but they all have a bit of a new quirk, if you want me to go over it.
Sure.
Okay, so let's begin by the fact that you have an extra ability. Because on live right now, you know, the dot changes. You only have 1 dot, yeah? But it changes. If you're in Lunar, it's Moonfire. If you're in Sunfire. If you're in Solar, it's Sunfire. Now they give you both spells, like from the get-go, you have them both available. So, you know, but they're still the same. Windfire is, you know, single target, lasts a bit longer, does a bit more damage. Sunfire lasts a bit shorter, does a bit less damage, but it also applies to targets near it. So it's, I guess, but you want to have them both on every target and extend them or whatever. They also generate some basic extra power when you apply them. It's like 3, just saying. Now, there's also a Wrath and Luna Strike, or Starfire as it used to be. They are different. Solar Wrath is, I guess, similar. It's still a single target, fast to cast spell. The thing is, though, on live right now, Solar Wrath is weak. Like, if you have a choice, you always cast Starfire, even for single target. However, now, you want to cast Wrath. If you have a choice, you want to cast Wrath for single target. It's higher DPS and generates more astral power per second. It doesn't generate more than Starfire, but it does more per second, which is important. Starfire, or Luna Strike, I guess, as it's called now, is still, you know, the slow casting, hard hitting spell, but its DPS in comparison to Wrath is a bit lower. Also, its astral power, like I said, is a bit lower, although it generates more instantly. The thing to note is that it has an AoE component now. So when you cast Luna Strike, it also deals damage to targets around it. Not a lot of damage, but it's significant. Like, so basically, the way you think about it now is single target. If you have a choice, you cast Wrath. AoE, like there's a boss with a few ads. If you have a choice, you cast Luna Strike. That's the way it works now. And the other 2 abilities you have in your rotation is, there's also the artifact trait that I talked about before. Like, I think you should use it. I think it's okay. But if you don't want to use it, that's fine. It does moderate damage, blah, blah, blah. I explained it before. The other 2 abilities that you're familiar with is Star Surge and Starfall. However, it's a bit different how they work now. On live, they have charges, so you have 3 Star Surges or 3 Starfalls, and they generate over time and they proc, but there's none of that anymore. The way they work now is they consume the resource that you generate. Star Surge consumes 40, Starfall consumes 60. You never want to use Starfall for single targets, or even a few targets, really. It's not worth it. You want to use it for, I would say 7+, but that's a bit number I'm taking a bit out of, you know, thin air. I'm not quite sure yet, but I would say like 7+. It's an AoE. It's an AoE spell. The cool thing Starfall has is that it also increases the damage your dots do while it's up. So, you know, the way I would do AoE is that, you know, you see a pack of ads, you Sunfire, you put the Starfall after, and as the Starfall is going, you cast a few Moonfires. And after you cast a few Moonfires, you want to generate enough astral power to cast another Starfall if you need to. That's the way I would do the AoE rotation in a basic situation. But yeah, don't use Starfall for any other situation. And the Star Surge is really strong right now. I mean, it's really strong already, but it's even stronger now. It's your hardest hitting spell. It does tremendous damage. It's very, very strong. The thing to note about Star Surge is, and it's probably the most important thing to master in the single target rotation. Let me generate some to show it. When you cast Star Surge, you get 2 empowerments. You get 1 for Luna, 1 for Solar. And that's why I was saying before, if you have a choice what you cast, because most of the time you won't have a choice, because you want to consume the buff. So when you use Star Surge, you get 1 of each buff, and you want to consume that buff. So the way the rotation goes is, you cast the Star Surge, you consume the Wrath buff, you consume the Luna buff, and at that point, if you have enough power, you do another Star Surge and you continue this rotation. If you don't have enough power, you assess the situation and you generate power. So if it's a single target situation, you go with Wrath. If it's an AoE situation, you go with Luna Strike. I don't want to repeat myself further, you know, I talked about it a bit, but yeah, that's basically the way the class works, and it's a fine system. It's satisfying. It's good.
All right. So I noticed you can get multiple stacks. Let's say you did 2 back-to-back Star Surges.
You can save up to 3.
All right. Would you recommend that to save it up, or would you? Yeah.
The way I would do it is, if you have the power to cast 2 Star Surges, so you say you have 80 power, you cast them both. Yeah. Especially, you know, if you cast, you have Chosen of Elune, yeah?
Yeah.
If you press Chosen of Elune and start doing some spells, you'll see you generate way too much Astral power, like so much, because Elune itself generates more. So at that point, your first priority is to consume it. So if you have the power to use Star Surge, just use Star Surge. Just keep using it. Outside of the buff, obviously make sure you consume, like, you can use a Star Surge, consume one of each buff and then cast the other one to be a bit more efficient. But during your cooldown, if you have too much power, just use it, just dump it, because Star Surge is the highest DPS thing in your arsenal right now.
Alright. Wow. So this is Moonkins in a nutshell. It's juggling between your astral power and your stacks and making a smart choice between which to use, and it's more like shifting damage in the right place. It's not just pressing what's available.
Yes. In a way.
So, if you guys have any questions for Storm, please do throw them in the comment section below. I'll try and ask him, or he'll reply himself. This has been Balance Druids. If you enjoyed the format, please do say so in the comment section below as well. If you've got any feedback, suggestions, I am open to. Might do a final coverage on Moonkins towards the end of the beta when it turns beta. But other than that, this has been Azril Ontology. Thanks for being on the show, Storm.
Thanks for having me.
Alright, Azril out and Storm out. See ya.
Storm out, baby.